Statistics come in all shapes and sizes when it comes to World of Tanks Blitz. It can range from your own personal win rate, average damage, spotting rate, how quick you die in the battle, to also making your way on to how other people perform, how the average tank performs, the best, the worst vehicles in the game. They basically create everything when it comes to World of Tanks Blitz. I guess RNG is also a pretty big factor. You can get royally screwed over just by bad luck sometimes, but we are going to be taking a look specifically in today's video at the statistics of this. The Minotauro. This is the Tier 10 Italian auto-reloading tank destroyer, a vehicle that I have eagerly been awaiting these statistics to be released on, down to the simple fact that I don't actually know how it's going to perform, so that's exactly what we're going to be breaking into for today's video. And then we're obviously going to play in the tank, because I'm not going to leave you without gameplay. So, if we make our way over to blitzanalysis.com, this is a website that showcases all of these statistics when it comes to the game. And I just realized my face is near. There you go, now we got my face. But we can see the top 20 tanks performing by relative win rate in the game. This is through all average statistics, every player. And the Minotauro does not make it into the top 20, which is unsurprising, to be honest. If we look at the top 65% of players, it doesn't make it anywhere. If we look at 55 to 65% players, it's not anywhere to be seen. 45 to 55% players, nope. And there you go, 0 to 45% players, we can see it in 16th place, right above the T95E6. Yeah, that's not great. Now, to be fair, I am quite not surprised seeing it doing well with 45 to less percent players, down to the simple fact that the Minotauro is a tank that has really good armor and a high alpha, but not much else. It doesn't have good mobility, doesn't have a great top speed, doesn't have good DPM, accuracy, really anything that a skilled player can take advantage of. So it makes sense that vehicles like the Object 268 version 4, E3, Badger, and Jag, E100, I mean, if you take a look at all the top performers in Tier 10 for lower win rate players, it makes sense that the Minotauro does make the list. But it's still not doing great. I mean, the Foch, WZ113, GFT, E4 are all performing better than it, which are not great at doing the role that you would expect the Minotauro to play in. Now, if we were to look at average win rate, we can see that it's actually pretty high in like 6th or 7th place. I guess that's something to go off of, but average win rate doesn't really tell you the whole picture, so I wouldn't believe everything you read there. If we make our way down to the worst performing vehicles, we can see that if we were to take a look at overall statistics, it's not one of the worst performers. So it's not one of the best performers or the worst. Seems pretty balanced. Let's make our way to the top 65% of players. And wow, oof, it's 4th for the top 65% of players. If we look at 55 to 65 percenters, nope, doesn't make it to the list. 45 to 55% doesn't make it to the list. And obviously for 0 to 45, it doesn't either, because we saw it in the top performing. So when it comes to 65% and 55% players, this is quite a mediocre tank. When it comes to 65 and above percent players, it's an awful tank, and it makes a lot of sense. The higher up you go in win rate and skill, the also higher you're going to go up in carrying potential. Now, certain tanks are going to have more potential than others. A Batchat, for example, is a super mobile, fantastic light tank. It's got 3000 DPM, it's got fantastic camo values, it's got some of the best spotting in the game. And the Batchat allows you, especially in late game situations, to absolutely dominate and come out with victories. For example, if I was in a Batchat against a Minotauro in a 1 versus 1 situation, I can basically guarantee that I would win every single battle against it for a couple of very simple reasons. First of all, the Batchat has more DPM, it's got more mobility, more view range, more camo, and it doesn't have armor, but, you know, it can just shoot the side of the Minotauro. The only way I can really think that the Mino would win is if it got into, like, a corner and was able to, like, you know, wiggle its tank in a way that it wouldn't be spotted unless the Batchat got to proximity range. But judging that the Minotauro has the worst camo in Tier 10, and I'm not even joking, it is the worst camo in Tier 10, well, yeah, it's not all too great. The other thing about this vehicle that isn't fantastic is its armor. Like, yes, it's good armor, don't get me wrong, but then it's also bad armor. It sacrifices everything to get that good armor. and then you just get penned by high penetration rounds. The Grill 15, FE 4005, Object 268 will all go straight through my tank, whether I'm using gun depression or not. And that creates a very unengaging aspect. It basically says, wow, you've sacrificed everything, the trash gun, the terrible mobility, not even a fully traversable turret, all so that you can have this good frontal armor. And even the armor half the time doesn't work. Now don't get me wrong, I do think that this is a pretty decent vehicle. You can do well in it, and my statistics are upwards of 70% on it, but it's just not a very enjoyable tank to drive. Wargaming basically took the lazy way. They had like the game, you know, the board game, the game of life, and they had two choices. They had the risky path, and they had the safe path. And they said, yeah, let's go for the safe path. Let's just make the most boring, absent-minded tank destroyer in the game that essentially has nothing going for it, but nothing against it either. And that's what they created this. No, it's not as absent-minded as my team this battle, going completely split here. And I can tell you now that that E100 is going to die very quickly because it looks like their team all went into the town. Am I going to blame their team? Honestly, their team might lose this for going town. I can see our E75. I've been playing World of Tanks PC all day, and I just come into Blitz. Not only do the teams make me want to, like, eat a shoe, but then you add on this just awful packet loss every game. I mean, look at the lag every time I shoot, just blow, blow. Alright, well, we've managed to bounce 2 shells on the Object 268. Very fun. I can't say my marksmanship was amazing, but, yeah, a bit unfortunate there. The real thing that kills me in Blitz is just the lag. It's like every time I'm driving, it's just But, oh, turn. God, this tank's traverse is not very good. Alright, well, it appears that I'm screwed, because I decided to drive towards my E100 and team, which was a big mistake, judging to the fact that I have no team. Alright, well, let's see if we can get, there you go, 1 easy shell. And, well, not much else I can really do here. I'm screwed. I can tell you now I'm screwed. And this is where having that poor mobility is not a great thing for the tank. Because look at my reverse speed. Oh, man, it's awful. It's so awful. Alright, well, I'm going to face this way. Hopefully that T-54 doesn't just try to YOLO it. And hopefully our team can actually, like, do something here. Let's see, we got the IS-7 off to the side. He pens me, but we do get a nice pen back into him once, and twice. Okay, I mean, you know, it might not actually be screwed. Looks like the Yag Tiger is going to work as a decent teammate, and I've just realized this T-54 is stock, but do you guys see the lag? Like, this is awful. I don't know why the game is so laggy, but it creates such an unenjoyable experience. I know I'm sidetracking a bit from the Mino, but it's just, it's awful. I don't think I've ever had this much of an unenjoyable experience due to lag in a while when it comes to Blitz, but yeah, it's quite unfun. I gotta be real, it is quite unfun. Now this battle, we've dealt a decent amount of damage, probably. I don't really know. It's the Mino, and you don't really know how much damage you've dealt until the game ends. But yeah, we did okay. 1,700 blocked, and we've dealt about maybe 2,600. Now I could shoot the IS-7, but because my DPM is so bad, I'd rather shoot the VK-90. We get 1 penetration into the VK-90 and 2 pens into the VK-90. The 1-2-1 finishes him off, and there you go. We come out with a victory. There's a lot of people that might go, why'd you go for the damage and not the kill? 2 reasons. First of all, this was a confirmed win. Even if I had done no more damage that battle, we would have won the battle. Second of all, this tank has no DPM. Shooting that IS-7 is not only a disservice to my team, because then I can't shoot the VK-90, but as well, it just helps me. I mean, why would I choose to not get more damage, especially when it's confirmed a win? Alright, well, first battle we did 3,600 damage, and the tank didn't actually do that bad, but you can imagine very easily how with my only 12 kilometers per hour of reverse and terrible DPM, if that T-54, IS-7, 268 had decided to continue pushing, it could have been very poor for me. I don't know why they didn't push. They basically allowed me and the Yag Tiger to push on their front, and then also have the Grill and the rest of my team push on their side, and they just got absolutely pincered and stuck out in the open. That is not what you want in a tier 10 battle, but their whole team went town, and usually when a team goes town, it's going to be a loss to begin with. I don't know why our E100 and E75 went there as well, but enough sidetracking. as you saw, the Mino is not a bad tank. It can do damage, it can do a decent job. But there's just so many other tanks that can do it better, you know? If I was in the E100 in that situation, I could have just not cared and done more damage because I have more DPM. I could have driven a tank, for example, like the V4, and not only have more DPM, but more frontal armor and a higher alpha. So it's just the fact that, like, for the majority of players in this game, this tank is so average and so boring that you'd never want to grind it. I mean, look at how slow this thing is. It's bad. Alright, well, what do we have against us? 60 TP, E100, VK7201K. Now, usually in this tank, I would try to get to the windmill hull down, but it's so immobile, I don't think that's ever going to be an actual option, especially when you see my AMX M4, who probably bought the tank during the auctions, camping at the back. So, a bit unfortunate to see that. That's a bit of a stunt on my happiness. But let's see, we got the 60 TP, we got the IS-8, aiming, and fire. There you go. Slap right into the guy's hatch, which is not too bad at all. While this gun may not be accurate by any means of the word, it still can actually hit some decent shots, down to the fact that it's actually got an okay aiming time. We got the 60 TP off to the side, and oh man, that lag. But we get a nice bounce from the 60. Let's get a second shell into his vehicle, and because I'm just that nasty, let's aim in, and I was going to say get a third out, but it doesn't really matter if we don't get that third out, because we actually gain damage per minute when we aren't shooting. So we're just going to sit here, and we're going to wait. We can see the enemy E100 is camping as well. I really don't know why, but alright, we got 2 more seconds left before we've got our shells ready. Aiming in on the IS-8. Aiming, and fire. Boom. Long live the enemy IS-8. Then we got the E100. There you go. One nice slap into his tank. And might as well. There you go. Easy tap into his turret. And with that, we have dealt 2,999 damage on the dot. So, we can see where the Mino does a good job. It's just really good at holding. And while you're seeing some good games here, you do need to realize that for every good game, there's also sometimes a bad game. And that's when the mediums on the enemy team make the right decisions, they flank you fast enough, and there's nothing you can really do. Now, I might be asking why I dump my clip sometimes. And honestly, it's 2 reasons. A, I don't care. I'm kind of lazy, so I'm just going to dump it because I can. But B, it gives me time to reload, to think about what I'm going to do in the battle. It's not like I'm going to be shot. Really, the only time you got to be worried about dumping your clip is when you know you're going to have to be in the battle in the next couple of minutes or seconds, you know, not minutes, in the next couple of seconds. Because in that situation, I knew I wasn't really going to be able to do anything anyway. It didn't really matter all too much. But now that I have all 3 shells loaded, we're just going to drive off towards the side over here. We got the Object 268 version 4, and there's 1 easy shell into his tank. He gets cleared, and then we have the E4. There's an easy shell into his tank. And this is where we actually wait. This is where we just wait for my second shell. We can see that the only tanks I have is an AMX M4 and an IS-4. Now, the AMX might pen him, might not. Doesn't really matter to me, because we're going to load 1 shell. Let's go for his... It literally bounced right on the mid plate. Okay. Sometimes this game gets me a little frustrated, and that right there was definitely one of those moments. Okay, well, we've got 10 seconds left. I should have just loaded heat. To be fair, I will take the blame. I should have loaded heat in that situation, because heat, I mean, it just butters right through his lower plate, and we can kill him. But I'm a bit disappointed that both of those shells said, nah, we're not going to pen his mid-bar. I should point out that that mid-bar is only about 250 thick, so this tank can pen it, and it is a penetrable spot. It's not a troll spot. We still did good, though, 4,360 damage, and came out with a pretty easy victory. So, that's the Minotauro for you guys. It's a fun tank, but it's also really boring, and I wouldn't really suggest to grind it. If you enjoyed this video, let me know. But just thought I'd make an update on the tank and how it's performing statistically. Bye-bye.